Welcome to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with your host, Rosalind Sedaka. Join Rosalind each week on a journey toward overcoming life's many challenges to achieve peace, empowerment, and positive transformation. It's time to relax, unwind, and transform your life with Rosalind Sedaka.
Hello, everyone. This is Rosalind Sedaka. I want to welcome you to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. And I'm interviewing today Mandy Bass, who is telling us an amazing story that happened to her this year and how she recovered from it. The title of our show is From Fear to Forgiveness, How Letting Go of Anger and Resentment Can Open the Door to Love. And this is part 2 of that interview, and Mandy started by telling us that she was brutally beaten and attacked in her own home just with no understanding at all that this was going to be happening to her by a young man who happened to be on drugs and in a very bad state, and just by happenstance picked Mandy's house, and she had to go through overcoming the physical, emotional, and psychological consequences of that experience. And she was just starting to tell us about her decision to want to see if she could meet the young man face to face, talk to him directly, and see if she could open the door to forgiveness. So, Mandy, why don't you continue your story from there?
Okay, so I had planned this meeting. This meeting was planned, and so I didn't really have very many expectations for what was going to be accomplished there, other than I wanted to show him the pictures and what he had done to me, because I had read some of the statements that had been made. I knew that he said he didn't have a recollection of what had actually transpired in my house that day. And so I felt like it was important, because it was his first offense, even though he had several felony charges against him from this incident. Because it was his first offense, I felt like he would likely not have a very heavy sentence, and that we'd probably be plea bargained, and that we would probably not have a day in court.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted him to know what had happened. And so that was really what I wanted to accomplish. But I didn't really think about it very much before I went, other than I did read over some of the documents that I had that were statements from his father, the people at school, and other people who he had been an Eagle Scout. He had pretty much led an exemplary life before this particular incident had happened. And so I tried to see the world from his point of view. I tried to see it from his father's point of view, what they might be going through. And I thought a little bit about what I had been like when I was 21, when I was his age. And I had made a lot of mistakes and made some bad decisions myself. So when I went in there, I just really had an open heart. I didn't have any expectations. And when they came into the room, I, fully expected to just, still be a little stern and whatever. But when he walked in with him, his father and his lawyer, and they brought in, some beautiful roses. I was just overcome with love and compassion. I was overcome with it. I made some trite remark about, well, you don't look nearly as scary as you did a few months ago, or something like
Whoa.
this. Mm-hmm. And I shook the hand of his father, and then I went to shake his hand, and next thing I knew I grabbed him. He was in my arms and just crying his eyes out, just sobbing. And it was probably one of the most profound moments of my life, where I really was able to experience that, that love that I think we're all seeking, which is, for every living thing. And it made me so tuned in to the to the part that we all share. You know, we're all walking around feeling so separate and so alone, but at the very deepest level, we are all loved, and we are all deserving of love. We're all deserving of compassion, and so is everybody else. You know, everybody in this pool of humanity, you know, makes mistakes and does things that they may not be proud of later, but at the core of each and every one of us is something so beautiful and something so great. And the way we get to that, the way we tap into that love is in our letting go of things, just letting go of those barriers, letting go of those grievances, letting go of those resentments that stop us from getting where we want to go and being who we want to be.
There are so many things that are bubbling up in me as a result of hearing what you're saying, because there are so many lessons that you are sharing with us. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, how did you feel coming out of that experience? Was it different from what you were expecting?
I wasn't expecting anything, but coming out of that after I did that day, I mean, it was probably as close to nirvana as one can get in this life, you know.
Wow.
Just this sort of opening up this window, like what I would say a spiritual vision, where is a window where you see things in a different way beyond what the physical is. You know, just beyond all our stuff and the clutter of our everyday lives. It's just been something that's really sort of tuned me in. And this particular meeting that I had with this young man happened right after a few days after the election, and we all know how difficult that timing has, how much angst there's been, and how much disagreement and whatever. And so, you know, I had been feeling particularly in tune to the fact that there was just so much anxiety. And you know what? By continuing that and by holding anger against each other and about all those other things, all we do is add to this, what I call a cosmic stew, you know, a boiling cosmic stew that, and I think that we can just do better. We can all do better. We need to be the change that we want to see in the world, to quote Gandhi. You know, that's really, and what I saw there, it wasn't something that I had planned or anticipated, that total feeling of love. But I had made the decision to forgive, to let go. I had made the decision that I was not going to be defined by, as a victim, having had that experience. I did make those decisions that I didn't want that to rule my life and for that to be what my life was going to be about. So
let me stop you here for a short break so I can remind everyone that they are listening to Rosalind Sadaka interviewing Mandy Bass on divorce, dating, and empowered living on WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. We're going to take a short break and be right back.
Are you looking for that soulmate connection? Well, I have a site for you that can definitely help you out. It's called Professional Singles, www.professional.singles. They connect like-minded individuals with their interests and their views on life, which really makes the soulmate connection. So if you are seeking love, if you are seeking a relationship, well, definitely check them out. It's professional.singles, www.professional.singles.com, and you can email them at contact@professional.singles.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio Channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Rosalind Sadaka with the Going Solo Network, WGSN-DB, talking to Mandy Bass on the Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living show. And Mandy was sharing with us insights that she got as a result of meeting with the person who brutally attacked her earlier this year and what she took away from the experience. And the title of this show is From Fear to Forgiveness, How Letting Go of Anger and Resentment Can Open the Door to Love. And this is such a perfect situation to be talking about because you experienced something where other people may have chosen to take so many different pathways instead of the one to forgiveness and love. And it's an inspiring story. And I wanted to ask you about this young man. Do you think he has learned any lessons and made any transformation in his own life as a result of this experience with you?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that. And you know what, I think that, do think it's a situation was an unfortunate situation. I don't think he was a regular drug user. Apparently this was the first time he had taken LSD. It was an experiment, and I think that, this whole situation has really scared him. And I can't really explain it, but there's a part of me that sort of feels a sense of responsibility for him. I don't know, but a part of me that cares for
yes.
his well-being. And so, I don't know what's going to happen. He hasn't been sentenced yet. He's still waiting for that to play out. And I don't know how that will ultimately end up, but I do hope and believe and pray that something really good will come out of it, both something that he will be, that he'll be able to execute from his end and hopefully from mine too. So I feel like this is, it's just an important thing. And just so that everybody does kind of know, because your listeners don't know who I am, but I am not. I know I've gotten some criticism. I've gotten some really great feedback from people, but I've also gotten some criticism because people feel like people need to have their punishment and blah blah blah. And I am not someone who doesn't stand up for myself. That's just like a lay down.
No, not at all.
I'm a very independent person.
Yes.
So I'm a business person. I don't, I'm not just somebody who's a doormat.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because what I hear is that you made a choice, and we all make choices when challenges come upon us. And some people would choose to be in a victim state and feel sorry for themselves and poor me and play off of that. Other people would choose to move into a place of anger and mistrust of humanity and start making stereotypes about other groups of people and younger people today, ethnic groups, different activities, and start getting filled with anger and moving into divisiveness and separating themselves, which is what's happening so much in our culture today. More and more people feeling the lack of oneness, but feeling more divided than ever. And you made a different choice, and that choice is something that's healing and nurturing you. So I'd love for you to talk more about, was that a difficult thing to do, and what do you think the consequences have been for you in your own life?
Great question, Roz. I think, just to be totally honest, I did go through all those emotions in the beginning. So in the beginning, I was really angry. I did feel like a victim, and I was a victim, right?
You were.
I was. And so I did go through all those emotions. And yes, I had a right to be terribly angry, and I had a right to play the victim role.
Mm-hmm.
But I also realized that I have a right to be happy. I have a right to be at peace. There is you cannot be happy and resentful at the same time. It's absolutely impossible. So you have a choice to make. No matter what it is you're facing in your life in any moment, carrying a grievance or a grudge with you, yes, you need to get things done in the way that you want them done, but there's a difference to being assertive and carrying a grievance, And so I made a very clear choice. Do I want to be happy or do I want to be resentful and angry? How do I want to, who do I choose to be? And to me, the choice is very clear and you can only pick one. So that's the one. I don't need to be right if I can be happy. And so that's the choice. Once you make the choice, and I think this applies to anything in our lives, once we make that decision, then everything else, the how you get there, how you forgive, what are the techniques you're going to use, are you going to go to get the help of a therapist, are you going to use some techniques like relaxation, self-hypnosis, whatever it is that you're going to do to get you there will reveal itself, will be there. You need to get yourself ready. You have to get to that decision point where you clearly decide what it is you want your life to be like, what you want to be. And when you're able to do that, everything else will fall in line. So it's that clarity of decision that'll make the difference, whatever it is that you're facing. And to realize that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And whatever situation you're going through right now, no matter how bad it is, in a year from now you'll look back and you'll go, wow, that really wasn't as bad, and I was able to do X, Y, and Z.
Well, let me ask you that then before we get to close. So you made choices. You had a very traumatic experience this year. Moving forward, how has Mandy Bass changed and transformed? Are you different, and are you looking at life differently, and are you doing things in any different ways?
I think that my inner life has certainly, I've always been sort of very grounded in my own spirituality, but I am more so now. And I think that I'd actually sort of gotten off track prior to this incident, and what this has done is sort of really brought me back. And so I tend to now, I'm much more dedicated to my practice and to the things, and I try to see the world through the eyes of love, wherever I possibly can, and try to do the best I can each and every day, which is the best that any of us can do.
Yes. So what message would you leave our listeners with today that they can take into the new year with themselves and remind themselves about the choices that we get to make every moment of every day, really?
Well, I would suggest that you pay attention to the fact that you do in fact, or you can in fact control the thoughts that you think and how you're directing your focus, and that you can let go. There's so many things, we take on so much stuff in our modern lives, and I would like you, between now and the new year, to think about what you can let go of, what angers, what grievances, what resentments, what little things can you let go of, what stuff can you let go of that's just taking up the room in your life, and make room for, for the good things to come energetically, and decide every day and every moment you have a choice. Who do you want to be? And whenever you have a decision to make, whenever anything is bothering you, just ask yourself, who do I want to be? And and if whoever that is you want to be, just act that way. And soon that will become who you are.
Yes, that is truly wonderful, valuable advice. Mandy, tell our listeners how they can access you if they want to communicate with you and take advantage of the many services you offer.
Okay, well, probably the easiest way, because we're on radio, is to go to my website, mindtosucceed.com. And over there you can read lots and lots and lots of articles, but you can also contact me. And I'm happy to hear from everybody, and I'm happy to, if you have any comments or questions that you'd like to ask me, I'm happy to respond and help you the best I can.
Excellent. Well, I am so grateful that you shared your story. You've been an inspiration to us all. Thank you, Mandy Bass. And you've been listening to the Going Solo Network, WGSN-DB, with Rosalind Sedaka, and the show is Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. And Mandy, you have been an empowering inspiration for all of us. So thank you so much, and blessings to you all as we move closer to the new year.
Thank you, Roz. Thanks for having me, and I wish everybody a wonderful new year and a terrific holiday season. Let go.